can start. I maybe wanted to wait one more minute in case there is someone still going to join. But maybe let's start first with some presentations. Well, myself, Ernesto Esposito. I'm a sales engineering manager here at OmniAccess. Well, I can say that during the past year or a couple of years, my role together with the account managers and the cybersecurity team has been to start talking about this topic, which is becoming more and more hot and trendy in our industry. And we are very much focused on the education at this moment with all our clients. So of course, this is a new topic for everyone in our industry. It's only maybe a year or so that became very much relevant. And that's why we are focusing a lot of efforts in, well, first of all, learn ourselves from our industry, but also to pass these learnings to our clients. And then here, my co-speaker today is Josep Estévez. You can present yourself, maybe.
Yes, hello, I'm Josep Estévez. I'm Cybersecurity Director for OmniAccess. And well, as Ernesto said, we are here to talk about cybersecurity. This is my goal since I joined OmniAccess almost 3 years ago. And well, since we have provided this alerting and monitoring services to more than 400 vessels, well, I think we think that it was a great opportunity to share with our customers and colleagues well, the visibility we saw from the SOC. Okay, and that's the goal of this meeting.
Yeah, and then just to say that I am also recording this session so that if you want to watch it later or share with your colleagues, you will have the recording because we know that not everyone is available at the same time to join a live session. And also feel free to send your questions into the chat, and of course we will answer them in due course or at the end of the meeting. Okay, so the goal of the webinar is really to share with you some real numbers. We finally made it because this is something that actually this was an idea coming from one of our clients, more or less, well, a few months ago, saying, hey guys, because you are now monitoring more than 450 vessels as part of your modeling group, why don't you come up with a report which is showing us what are your findings specific into our industry? We know that on the web there are so many different reports coming from different big companies operating in cybersecurity, but I think it was a very good idea and hopefully very useful for our industry to see real numbers coming specifically from the maritime industry. And for that, we have put together all the tools we needed and generated the first quarter and the first report of this year. And we will follow up with more reports during the next quarter. So that means every quarter we will release a new report, also showing and highlighting the differences we have seen compared to the previous quarters. And then, yeah, we will also organize a webinar like this one to present the results. Okay. Then I give the word to Josep to present your view. I mean, what have you seen since you started? You know, this big project to bring OmniAccess into this cybersecurity industry, and what you see is the trend for the future.
Yes, thank you, Ernesto. Well, I come from the hospitality industry with more than 15 years in cybersecurity, and the first thing I see is the maturity. Okay, well, in the hospitality, we find customers, e-commerce platforms, but also regulation. Okay, regulation sometimes make the difference because you need to be aware to protect data from your users and customers. In the maritime industry, for us, I think I see that the connectivity is the key. Okay, well, we provide cybersecurity for commercial ships, also for super yachts, but well, as soon as we start increasing the connectivity, we will see more users, more devices, and also an increase of the attack surface. Okay, the purpose of this meeting is to give visibility to all our customers, because we have different level of customers. Someone with cybersecurity skills on board that can manage firewall and take a lot of controls to protect and see what is happening. But sometimes we find customers with a lack of resources to be aware of what's happening. Sometimes we heard, no, I have a firewall. It's okay. It's a tool that helps us to protect, but you need someone with skills to keep the proper setup and to check what is happening. It's not just have a firewall like.
Yeah, it's a typical answer, isn't it? I mean, yeah, the firewall is just protecting your entry door, and also it requires maintenance, configuration, review. So it's not just a one-off job. In general, like all cybersecurity. Well, going to the next sections of the report that we prepared, here, for example, we talk about innovation, right? Because I think everyone is aware, especially people working in the yachting industry, and also in the cruising industry and so on, that especially during the last year, we have seen a lot of innovation, a lot of new things, especially when it comes to connectivity, affecting our market. But still, I see a lot of vessels that haven't changed much on board. So that means they took this as an opportunity to get maybe faster speed or more technology on board, but not really doing any modification into, for example, into their cybersecurity setup on board to mitigate the risks that these new innovations are bringing. What do you think?
Yes, I think that, well, most of our customers have the latest technology on board. They have the latest entertainment system, they have CCTVs, OT systems, and well, this is great because this makes the daily operations easier and more comfortable. But well, we need to be aware that all this technology increase this attack surface, and we need to be aware that the controls and policies that we should have in place are the same that these third parties giving you access remotely need to cover.
Yeah. So basically, we need, apart from taking care of controlling our security on board, we also need to control the third parties, whoever is working with us, right?
Yes, it's a balance between the features that you get, but also the control you need to implement to stay safe.
Okay. And then just looking at some of these numbers we have here, we mentioned at the beginning, we manage more than 450 vessels, which indeed gives us great visibility about what are the numbers and the real risks affecting our market. More than 10 million unique IPs analyzed, as well as 97% attack stopped. I particularly like this 97% because, of course, in the cyber industry, there is always expectation of, hey, why is not 100%?
But this is not always possible because, well, sometimes we have human phase, human errors, like sometimes phase due to misconfiguration. But well, it's in cybersecurity, we always say that 100% is not possible. Okay. Well, as we said, we need to implement protection depending on the assets, the value you have on board. Okay, and you need to balance. It's not possible to implement this 100% security, but you need to build your path. Okay, start with basic controls, implement basic security policies, backup policies, firewall policies, and depending on how can you keep these controls, then keep building. Okay?
Yeah. And this, of course, I mean, everyone needs to aim for 100%, but realistically, we know that there is always something that could overcome any security measures we have put in place.
Well, more than 400 vessels, it's a lot, okay? Because, well, the added value we offer, as we have visibility of all these threats during more than 1 year, okay? It's not the same as you can monitor just a device, just a vessel, and well, we will offer these numbers because most of the time the customer are not aware, okay? And when you are aware, sometimes it's too late, okay?
Yeah.
This is the purpose of this report.
And also, I mean, you were just saying, to keep your vessel safe, you need also the right cybersecurity measures in place. I mean, why do you think OmniAccess is in the right place to provide cybersecurity, the right level of cybersecurity for a vessel in general?
Well, under my point of view, as an internet service provider or communication provider, we are in a privileged place, okay? Because we somehow manage the pipe, okay? We have visibility of all the logs, of all the communications, and well, we can explicitly to check what is happening, not just in the perimeter, but also in the land. As we deliver network as a service, we manage network devices, and also other services within the land. We can manage and provide an end-to-end solution. Okay, yeah. Maybe some vessels can have a terrestrial cybersecurity provider. It's a good option, but we can manage all the end-to-end solutions.
Yeah, and also I think it's a matter of knowing well the industry, because of course we listen a lot about what our clients needs. We know what's really needed for a yacht. Sometimes in the standards there are certain measures that are standardized for any type of industry, while us having visibility of what ETOs, chief engineer, captains really work with on a yacht help us to shape our offering in terms of services.
Yes, and well, we see here billions of events. Okay, yeah. For events, we have events in a firewall, in a waterline controller, in access point. Okay, we have a lot of events, but well, we need to take care about these that are critical for our service and expectation. Okay, yeah. We can protect everything, but we need to be aware what is more important for a daily basic vessel operation. Okay.
Yeah. And then maybe this comes a question for you. What's the main difference? Because in the report we have a lot of numbers refer to events and alerts. Yes. What's the difference there?
Event is whatever log that the device provides, as a device provides. Then we have security events, and a set of security events can generate an alert. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a set of alerts can generate an incident. Okay. Maybe an alert can arise, but it doesn't mean anything. Okay. Yeah. Our SOC is checking this. Okay, this alert is a false positive or is a true positive. Okay. This alert can have an impact on the vessel or not. This is the minimum part is an event. A set of events are an alert, and a set of alerts are or can be an incident.
Okay. Okay. And then yeah, we say we managed more than 16 million security events, which is a huge number. And then managed 78 incidents in just 3 months.
Yes. Yes. Also... Maybe you can think that 16 million is huge, but well, it's funny because we can check a customer with a very, very good cybersecurity. We can see maybe 2,000 events, and then are all blocks. And you can. This is great because it seems that they know what they are blocking, but maybe in the other side, we have a customer that is allowing all the traffic. Well,
yeah. So
it's difficult to understand why some vessels have this high security and others need a lot of steps to do.
Okay, and when it comes to, well, here now we start seeing more in detail the numbers, right? So, for example, in this chart, we have analyzed the amount of events per category. Okay, I mean, what's your thought here? Because from the look I had, basically I see most of the events are still generated by some kind of basic technologies we use every day, like information technology, which is normally including all the tools we use, I think, every day, like web browsing or these kind of things. Sorry, not web browsing. We have a specific category for web client, but anything that we use on a computer every day. Then network services, which is more about the protocols. And then, yeah, web browsing as well has a good chunk in this chart with 16%. And then we see video audio, which is, of course, growing. Do you see in the future, I don't know, how do you see this chart evolving? Do you see it being more or less static during the next months, or is there any indication of any specific category growing in here?
Well, it depends on of the traffic of the user you have on board, and well, video, audio. We have more and more users consuming Netflix and all these platforms, and well, this is good to have this visibility since we have firewall layer 7 that give us this visibility. But also in terms of protection, well, we need to classify depending on how critical it is for each segment. Okay, our approach is usually ETO, chief engineer, VLAN, then we have guest, we have owner, and based on each vessel needs, we try to suggest a set of policies to check not just the number or the amount of data they take, but also the cybersecurity. There is always a compromise between both of them, and as I said before, this starts with visibility. But if you don't have this information, you don't know which policies to implement and protect.
Yeah, no, definitely. And also, I mean, the interpretation I give to this chart is also that maybe in the maritime, there is still not too much of use of entertainment application. For example, if you look at social media, video, audio itself, I mean, it's still not growing as it is growing in other industries.
Yes.
But I'm sure during the next quarters, because of connectivity, this will grow much more. This, of course, we will monitor the events and see what will change there. But then we will see in the next charts that it's interesting that each one of these categories anyway presents certain risks when it comes to possible threats.
Yes, advertising also is, and depending the control you have in the devices, in the different subnets, well, you can modify these patterns.
Yeah. In fact, for example, if we look instead at the breakdown between true positive and false positive of the alerts we have monitored, of course, luckily we see a lot of we see not unlikely, I would like to say, the other way around. We see a lot of true positive, and then of course there are some false positive. But of course, I think it's important to say that many of these true positives are managed automatically and blocked automatically by the tools we have put in place. Although there are, as we can see the numbers here, there are alerts that need to be managed by the Security Operations Center because maybe they require different type of attention. And here I see this number, 34 alerts managed monthly per vessel, which is a huge number, no?
Yeah, well, for me, this is the key slide in all the report, okay? Because, well, as we said, most of our customers, most of the people in the industry are not aware of this because, well, the tools are working and we don't realize of the real impact of this alert until affect to a critical process in the ship, okay? If there is an incident with a smartphone or laptop or from a crew member, there is not a huge impact. But if we start losing information, if we see a ransomware encrypting data, well, this is when we start realizing of the criticality of these events. And well, as you say, Ernesto, more than 100 per vessel, okay?
Yeah.
This is huge. It takes time to have someone analyzing information, checking the controls, suggesting recommendation to fix it. It takes a lot of time, and well, you need skills and people with this background to deal with this.
Yeah, and I think this is, yes, I agree with you. This is probably the most important slide because, of course, a frequent answer we get when talking about this topic is, well, my vessel should not be affected, or but a lot of conditions, you know, I mean, there is no one really looking into it and say, checking the logs and, you know, realizing what's really happening. Luckily, I mean, many yachts are still not affected by cyber incidents, but still there are things going on that we don't see.
Yes, sometimes we are not aware that, okay, maybe get some answer that no, we don't have nothing to be monitored, we don't have server. Well, every day we get more and more information, sometimes about IoT devices to collect information and all this. And well, it's
it's a growing issue. And then, yeah, if we break down these alerts by severity, of course, we see 13% considered as critical, 42% considered as medium critical, and then low critical 45%. So still we have the majority between medium and a high critical type of alerts. I don't know if you have any comment about this. Is this expected? I mean, for example, having so many critical issues today with all the, all this talk about cybersecurity, putting in place measures, is 13%, do you think it's an acceptable level? Or?
Yes, for us, critical are those alerts coming from critical devices, maybe XDs, maybe something that could have a huge impact on the vessel. And also because either the asset is critical, maybe because the attack is very complex and difficult to remediate, and but sometimes this data is not clear at all because the controls in place are not enough to give this visibility. Okay, and maybe an incident starts as low. As soon we get and start analyzing, is medium, and maybe the other way around. Okay? Maybe you start as medium and it's a false positive, or maybe it has less severity than this. But in average, this gives us a visibility about the trends right now.
Okay. Yeah, we will see during the next quarter how this will change, if it will change. And also, alerts by date is clearly showing a pattern there, no? Very much in line with the seasonality of our industry. And so we will see, of course, during the next months that will become hot for yachting in the Med. We expect to see a growth here. And also it's interesting to see how these values are very much proportional to the activities that are happening on board the yachts. So there are periods which are more quiet, and then suddenly you see a drop in the number of events, and periods which are more busy, and then we see some spikes in the data.
And with the number of alerts, we see that there is a relation with the security solutions implemented, firewall, endpoint protection, network access control, and the maturity. Okay, if we have a vessel with a lot of controls in place, well, we don't get alerts because the firewall is doing the action that is expected. Okay. But if it is not properly implemented, then we find some noise. Okay, and this is a relation in the sense between most of our customers. I would say that 99% of our customers have a firewall. But not all the customers have endpoint protection. Okay, as soon as we increase deploying endpoint protection, we
will see also more alerts, more events. Yeah, definitely. Okay, and then looking at the single months, here we also had a breakdown in terms of alerts and their severity during those months, which can be also interesting for our clients to read. And then we go straight into top threats. And I think this is also an interesting, very interesting to see in real numbers. What are the things that are really threatening the security of a ship? Here in the chart we see certain things like application layer protocol DNS being one of the most recognized threats from our tools for our industry, as well as the use of Tor, for example, these web browsers that, of course, are protecting the privacy of the users, but at the same time they are creating risks for the vessel,
allowing or bypassing the security controls.
Exactly. Okay. And then we have Emotet, so Trojan type of attacks, exfiltration over alternative protocols, Metasploit, which also, because I understand Metasploit is very much a tool used also for simulating cyber attacks, no, by penetration testers. So this means that more and more users are also using these tools also to do real attacks, not just to simulate them. Covert strike, heavy proxy, so quite interesting techniques. And of course, we can find on internet all the descriptions, especially on the MITRE attack website, giving standard description of all these type of threats. What do you think about this? I mean, for example, when I saw this graph for the first time, I was surprised to see so much, for example, happening at the DNS protocol level. Is that, I mean, do you think it's expected or?
Well,
because to me, honestly, when I see this and comparing it to what is happening in other industries, I see, for example, the first two really much, I mean, basic. They could be generated by what's called kiddies. I mean, the attackers that don't have a huge amount of experience in terms of preparing a massive attack, or
yes, maybe this is not 100% real, but since, as I said before, we have maybe 90% of our logs coming from the firewall, from the layer 7, is for this reason that our threat intelligence platform has given us this result. Okay. As soon as we start getting more information from email, from endpoints, from servers, logs, okay, we will be more context, okay? Because cybersecurity is always based on context. If we have a security event, maybe come in the firewall, if we have information from the user, we will be more ready to get to provide a better answer, okay? In business cybersecurity is context. All these categories come from the MITRE framework, okay? And well, with the information we get and from our threat intelligence and the firewall, we see that these are the real numbers. Probably with more information, this wouldn't be the same, okay? But with the information we have, with the level of maturity we have right now, these are the numbers we have, and most of them are because all the destination IPs and domains have a reputation, and based on this reputation,
they are classified in this way. Yeah, I mean, also researching a little bit on the different type of threats, it's quite surprising to see, for example, heavy proxy, the so-called phishing as a service type of technique. So basically, there are people even making money by providing solutions to attack other people. I mean, it's really becoming a bigger business, bigger and bigger.
The bad guys, we say bad guys, are the
never rest.
Never sleep, never stop, and well, it's the second industry in the world, and well, until now, our industry was not target, but as soon as they realize that there is money in our customer, then we try to find a way to hack and scam our customers.
And also I think it's important to show here that phishing is not at the first place, which most of the people think, well, my mailbox, or I am clever, I will never open a phishing email, but it's not the only threat that is currently happening to ships, to the maritime industry.
Yes, but as I said,
this will be more and more fine-tuned.
Yes, our customers have all look of type solutions, but the security solution for email are not fully deployed, okay? And well, it's difficult because sometimes crew members are using their own email, and we don't see the real value of this, but the email is...
And from the experience, I mean, at least talking to clients, as well as analyzing the most important incidents that we managed. Based on your experience, what are the most common attacks that have really created problems to yachts or ships in general?
Well, browsing to sites without clear reputations, clicking on emails that coming from unexpected senders, and also wrong configuration in the firewall.
Wrong configurations.
Yes. Maybe with flat networks. Okay. Also with signatures of email protection that are not updated during the last year.
Yeah.
Well, but more than 90% is a human error.
Yeah, it seems that indeed one of the most common entry doors for attackers is not updating your operating system, your software. I mean, and we know that many boats still use very old operating systems, tools, softwares on board that are there because, of course, they use it, but because the company that provided those services has not updated that type of software, basically also the vulnerability have not been stopped anymore. So that means that especially software and other systems on board need to be reviewed continuously to make sure they are continuously updated. Otherwise, they will automatically open vulnerabilities.
Technology evolves and threats
as well. Yeah, exactly. In fact, well, going back, for example, another interesting thing by researching this data was that sometimes certain malware that was basically almost stopped in the past are coming back because they are coming back a bit more evolved and evolved and ready to create damage to our industry. And then looking at the patterns instead, here this is more focused on the tactics used by the attackers. So in this case, we see the most common one, for example, has been system information discovery. System information discovery is also a very interesting one because I understand this. If someone, for example, looking at our specific industry, when someone is accessing remotely the vessel on board, they can automatically discover how our system is made in terms of hardware, software, what release we have of our software, and automatically see our vulnerabilities, right?
Yes. Well, we come from maritime cybersecurity status where the common practice were to share password, to share things, to be on a smooth handover in case of changing the provider. Well, now since the IMO, the other way around, but well, this system information discovery, well, it's the basic of any hacker methodology used. Okay, as much information I can get, the better knowledge I will have to attack. Okay,
they prepare on what I will find once I am in, and apparently it's also the most basic to be done, the first thing really to be done. And then we see the second place we see phishing, which we were saying before. While in the previous threat chart was not at the first place, but still is one of the most used attack vectors, phishing. Anyone can click on a phishing email. Everyone receives email and as well as text on their mobile phones. So everyone is really affected by this. And then maybe going back to your point about having a firewall on board, it's really not enough. Because it's enough for anyone on board to receive a phishing email and click on that link to actually neutralize any benefits created by the firewall, right? Then we see application layer protocol, specifically web protocols. Apparently, web protocols are very often used to mask other type of activities which are more malicious, so that they are not recognized by the systems you have in place. Then obfuscated files or information, exfiltration over C2 channel, and so on. So basically, we see quite a balance, right? I mean, there are a couple that are more than others, like the first two, system information and phishing. And then we have all the others that are pretty much balanced in terms of patterns.
Well, as always in technology, if we implement or we want the latest features, we need to also to implement the best controls to take benefit of the features. It's always a balance, and well, I can understand that these names that attacks patterns are not very common for usual or
normal other users.
Yes, but well.
Yeah, and also, I mean, what I did is I tried to find the differences between these findings in the maritime and what have been the findings on globally on the overall industries from big companies, like Fortinet, Mandiant, and well, they are pretty much similar. I mean, there are certain categories that are higher than others, maybe, but they are all there, and that means our industry is very much affected as other industries are, from the similar type of attacks, similar type of techniques, and so on. So that's why we need possibly rely on some standard frameworks that can help us, right?
Well, in case of file and discovery and directory discovery, it depends on the amount of data or quality of data our customers have. Well, yes, I think we will see in the next quarter.
Yeah,
how can we see difference between our industry and other companies.
Yeah, and I think it's worth mentioning again, and you touched based on that, is the practice in the maritime industry to give remote access to anyone, and most of the times over unsecured links, right? And because this is clear, no, that the system information discovery is one of the things that you can easily do when you are granted access over one of those unsecured links. Yeah, so as well as other things like file and directory discovery, process discovery. So all the actions of discovering what's in place can be easily done with this type of remote accesses, which I think is good practice for it to be secured with VPNs, no, with services that
at least control all these accesses.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't like remote access application in beware of this, because these are you need to be to update these applications on a regular basis, check it. But well, if you have a deep knowledge and you can control who is accessing from which device when in a narrow window, well, this is great. If not,
yeah, it's very much also about trust of the people you work with. Yeah. And then yeah, here we say detection is key, but prevention too. Now we are showing a map with the most, I mean, the biggest destinations in terms of what we have seen in terms of events. We think that this map, correct me if I'm wrong, could be useful, especially to understand, okay, where is most of the maritime events and traffic going? In terms of destination servers, no? But I think the key is really that title, no? Detection is key, but prevention too.
Yes, well, in the firewall, we can prevent the users
from accessing a specific location.
Yes, so we can block this. This is a feature that is available in firewall to protect visiting countries where we don't have business or any relation. And well, if we prevent, we can gain time against a potential incident.
Yeah, in fact, here, well, we see that here most of the events were towards the United States. Well, I said before, maybe most of them don't really need to be risky at all costs, but still is quite useful information. And then, of course, we have other countries. Norway, I'm a bit surprised. Countries like Norway, and then we have Netherlands, China, British Virgin Islands. Of course, I mean, many of these also are relevant for example, to the yachting industry or the shipping industry, right?
This is not a key for an incident for protection, but give us context.
Yeah.
I'm very curious about which will be the chart in the next quarter regarding this situation.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think this is also important thing to mention. Cybersecurity is a taboo no one really wants to talk about, right? I mean, of course, we have a lot of information which are made public that we can research ourselves about what have been the biggest attacks during the past quarter, what have been the best practice in order to mitigate those attacks, the impacts of those attacks. But it's also true that, especially in our industry, if you get an attack, not everyone is really willing to disclose that information. No,
I agree with you. We are together start building and designing new services. And well, for us, it's very important to have customers' feedback, because maybe we are designing and deploying solutions that not meet our customer expectations, our customers' needs. But well, sometimes it's difficult to find the key person on board to understand what they need. Okay, and well, sometimes maybe is a matter of lack of knowledge, or the key question I always do is, who is responsible for cyber in a superyacht? And it is not always an easy question, okay? Because they have maybe an ETO, chief engineer, a second engineer, but and sometimes they have third parties providing some services, and it is not really easy to find a hierarchy with the
specific. Maybe again, because this is again a new domain, a pretty new domain, and I think during the next months and years, for sure, there will be more regulations that will require for someone on board to be accountable and responsible for this. And also it will happen probably naturally, as this topic becomes more and more common, especially on ships. For sure, there will be this kind of also internal requirement by the ship itself.
It is not just the IMO, okay? It is, as we said before, if we deploy more technical solutions on board, maybe if we have a charter, maybe we can have an incident and have the vessel stop during maybe 5 days or something like this, and this have an impact, okay? And it's difficult to monetize this, okay? Because maybe it is not very common to pay someone to help you with this, but you don't see the value until something happens.
And here, well, some numbers also, the amount of reports we have submitted, firewalls managed, we are managing, which means we manage also the configuration, right, of more than 150 firewalls, which again is important, as you said, to be managed. Otherwise, the configuration can be obsolete or not effective to contain cyber risks. More than 400 protected mailboxes, as well as in terms of remediated vulnerabilities, more than 7,000. It's quite impressive numbers for a first one.
But as I said, the cybersecurity we propose to our customer is based on their needs. Okay, we don't want to offer a full service if they don't need it. Okay, and cybersecurity is not okay. I conduct a risk assessment, I am happy. No, because if you run or conduct a risk assessment, probably you will have findings. And cybersecurity requires a continuous management. Okay, on a monthly basis, on every quarter, and to have someone taking care of this.
And then finally, okay, where do I start from? No, this is the typical feeling of someone that has never dealt with cybersecurity before. Maybe at some point, someone realizes that it's becoming more important. Okay, from where do I start? And that's why we like to present this framework. One of well, there are multiple, but this is the one that is mostly used in our industry, the NIST framework. And maybe you can spend a few words about the different phases of the framework.
Yes, well, our approach starts with the NIST framework. NIST is an international standard, and well, the goal is how ready am I to react if I face an incident. Okay, we will have different phases. In the identified stage, we pretend to be aware of which are my main assets and processes, and try to identify how to protect them. Okay, if I have information in a server, well, I need to protect them properly. But if I don't take care about this, I don't start from the beginning. Okay. And
you need to know what's your current situation, and possibly this needs to be re-verified, I don't know, every year or every 6 months.
Every time,
things change.
yes, every time you change something.
Yeah, exactly.
You implement a new IPTV solution. I don't know. If you change a provider, well, on it's in average at least once a year.
Yeah.
This is a standard. But well, there are different possibilities to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when once you find what you need, you start protecting, right? You start implementing certain solutions. I mean, most of them are implemented through technology, like well, firewalls we mentioned before, IDS, antiviruses, and so on, as well as in terms of configuration with segmentation, different VLANs for different groups of users on board. But I think it's also important the policies. I think this is the list of the things used on board ships, right? Yes. Because there are not really policies about how you are allowed to behave on board, how you should be using certain systems, and so on.
It takes time. It takes effort to write a policy, communicate, share it with the crew, with the companies providing some services. But well, if I start in a position, I just need access where I need to do something. Okay, yeah. If I am the chief engineer, maybe I don't need access to a folder where the captain have sensitive information. Okay,
or vice versa, or yeah, the guest, for example.
Other policies we find is the password policies. Okay, because well, if we don't have password policies and we share we share the user and the password, well, if something happens, we don't know who shared this information.
Yeah. And then detection. I mean, okay, you have implemented your solutions, but we're keeping an eye on those. I mean, again, going back to the firewall example, the firewall is blocking things, it's allowing things, but do we check what is being blocked? Most of the times, not really. I mean, it's a full-time job, actually a 24/7 job, because you need continuous awareness of what's happening. And this is where a security operations center 24/7 can help. We normally offer it as a basic service because it can start giving you visibility, and then based on that you can implement more protection. No? And then responding to incidents timely, of course, if you get the right support, also through your technology that you installed on board, the reconfigurations, access.
Backups, if any.
Backups that will help for recovery of your information if you have been affected by a ransomware attack or similar type of attacks that we see are becoming more and more frequent into our sector. And then yeah, I mean, I think this was the last page of our report. I don't know if you wanted to add anything else. Let me check if there is any question in the chat, but I haven't seen any. I don't know from the audience. If you have any questions, feel free to write it now. Otherwise, we will follow up anyway via email in case you have questions later. So as said, we will share also the link of the recording so that you can share with your colleagues. And then, yeah, we will basically repeat with a new webinar as soon as we will release the next quarter report, which I think we should have by mid-July, right?